Cuba has always fascinated me, and initially I thought it was really going to be just a Cuba study, but the primary sources took me far beyond Cuban shores, and which is what makes this a very much an Atlantic world kind of story. So it's about empire, the Spanish Empire in Cuba. It's about revolution. It's about rebellion. It's about migration. So it is in many ways, although about Cuba, about much more than Cuba. So the title is The Year of the Lash: Free People of Color in Cuba in the 19th Century Atlantic World. And the Year of the Lash refers to the repression of the conspiracy of La Escalera, or the Ladder Conspiracy, which was a series of slave rebellions at the end of 1843 that the government decided was an actual conspiracy again to end slavery and to abolish Spanish rule in Cuba. And so the repression that follows is called the Year of the Lash in 1844. And I focus not just on 1844, but the next 20 years to really talk about the impact of the repressive measures that the government took to squash the rebellion, squash rebellious elements, and general dissent on the island. And what I end up doing is following the free population of color. They're very much the scapegoats in all of this. Free blacks and slaves do get their major share of the punishment, but it's free blacks who tended to experience major banishment from the island, and they had larger prohibitions on their work, on their employment. So, for example, I end up following the petitions from prisoners who go overseas or in prison in North Africa and in Spain. I follow those other exiles who end up in Mexico and in the U.S. and just tracing the way they protest being kind of flung out and accused of being co-conspirators really helped to shape the project into one that was much more of an Atlantic project than I had ever envisioned before. It's very much applicable to other areas. I'd say kind of built into three levels. It's obviously about Cuba, so Cuban history fits into Latin American studies, American history. Also, it's about the African diaspora in Latin America. And then kind of the larger layer is the Atlantic world. So it's although micro, kind of focusing in, it also deals with the larger structures, the larger processes that have an impact on Cuba, but also that what happens in Cuba has an impact on the rest of the world. So I just want to add a little bit more about the book, that it's very much about the people at the heart of the story, about their voices, their struggles, their resistance, or their adjustments, adaptations to all of these things that are being thrown at them. So it's about militiamen, it's about artisans, about sons and their families, mothers and fathers struggling to keep their family safe. And I think in many ways a very human story that has yet to be told. This is the first time it's being told through my interpretations, and I certainly encourage other scholars who are interested to investigate and tell us more about the impact of this repression on free blacks, on slaves, on issues of race relations, politics in 19th century Cuba.